Okay, let's go ahead and get into the stock market technical analysis. Big day, big sell-off today, so we definitely want to talk about what's going on in the markets. I'm going to go through the broad text, especially tech. That's really where a lot of the selling's taking place, so we'll really look through that. If you guys are finding value, please drop me a thumbs up. If you're interested in the private member group, again, I was in there earlier this morning, sending out lots of charts, commenting on stuff, giving lots of trade setups, sell signals, all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in that, link in the description to join up. Feel free. You can cancel anytime. So it's a really low commitment. Check that out if interested. And let's just dive right into it. Triple Q's daily chart. All right. We have, in general, all right, we have this trend line that really, this kind of uptrend here, which was started back in April. That's been broken. Clearly, that broke a couple days ago, and then we back tested. So it broke trend, and then back tested for a few days. Clearly getting rejected today with a gap down and just a hard sell. So that's definitely a break of trend. And the reason why it broke today, because the SPY, let me flip over to this. So you can see the SPY broke today. So this is the S&P 500. There's your uptrend line, and the break of trend is right there today. So that happened on a gap down and broke, basically broke support, and that's it. We're on a sell signal across the board in all markets essentially, because we've got the tech and the SPY. Now I know the IWM's holding up relatively well. There's still this belief that there's going to be a transition into small caps. It's just not mathematically possible for the small caps to really hold up if you've got large caps, large cap tech, all selling off. The tech stocks led the market up. They're gonna drag the market down. All right, they have the mathematical weighting, so you can transition as much as you want into the small caps. They're still going to get dragged down by these market cap leaders. So that's it on the SPY. Broke of trend. We should head lower. There's a gap to fill down here on SPY. So again, in general, yeah, we're going to have some gaps. There's going to be little bounces and stuff, but we've broken that kind of uptrend there. Also, yeah, on the SPY, if you kind of extend this out, going all the way back to the beginning of this rally, you can really mark it. It's about right there. You can see we've also broken that uptrend as well. So this is coming all the way back to October of 2023. Support. There's a little reaction, and that is a sell signal. Unless they can miraculously recover this thing in the last hour of the day, or last few hours, I guess we got a couple hours, then that's a sell signal on the S&P 500. On the major trend, the trend since October of 2023. So that's that. If I go to the weekly chart, the other thing you want to look at, now the weekly chart this week won't close obviously until Friday, but if you go to the weekly chart, you can see last week we had the bearish engulfing candle. I've pointed at that out in several videos since, and then so far we've got confirmation. We've got more selling. All right, bearish engulfing, outside day candle on the weekly, more selling. So if we close the week with, a red week, then that's going to be, essentially the signal of a top. All right. And it's on the weekly chart. So we're signaling kind of a long-term top here. And it looks like we have made the turn, at least from my perspective, how it looks today. It looks like we've made the turn. Let me go to the Triple Q's weekly. Triple Q's weekly, same kind of look. You've got the bearish engulfing, and then you've got more selling. So again, looks like we've made the turn. Triple Q's has some support right down here, about 450. Let me go to the daily to show you guys that. On the daily chart, you can see here, there's some support right about there. All right, that we had a kind of a big sideways range that we traded in. So again, I think we'll find some support down there for a bounce. I don't think it's going to be a major bounce, because again, we're seeing signs on the weekly chart that a long-term top is in. But you're going to have bounces, even just like you have bounces on the way up, or little drops. You're going to have rallies on the way down. So especially in the beginning, in the beginning of a long extended uptrend, you've got dip buyers who will just buy the dip. They don't care where, they think the trend is always up, and so they buy the dip until they're wrong. So they have to be proven wrong. And so they'll probably buy the first initial dips looking for rallies to new highs. And then, ultimately, I think those rallies get sold into. Looking at individual stocks, especially NVIDIA, because again, that's kind of been the key. It's, it's really been the driver of a lot of the growth in the market. Most of the growth in the S&P 500 can be narrowed down to just a 5-6 stocks, this being one of them, NVIDIA. This one, you had an uptrend line. We had a sell signal here, initial sell signal when we broke that uptrend line, hit the first level of support. It's about 117, 118, right in there, and we're still testing it. I mean, we're just barely below it as of right now. We'll see how we close the day. Looks like it's going to break. With the rest of the market, there's a lot of pressure in the market. I think it's going to break. Maybe they hold it here today and they're able to recover and you get a small bounce. But we've tested this level multiple times, so I think it's going to break. And if it does, I can easily see a flush down to the major trend line support on the daily chart, which again, I've talked about it. To me, it looks like we're going to flush down to about 96.50 or somewhere right in there. All right, right in that area. So that's the drop that I'd be expecting, at least in the near term on NVIDIA. It's about a 15 to 17% drop. Amazon, and again, I talked about this in the video yesterday. We're hitting major resistance in a lot of these large cap tech stocks, which ushered me to be, basically be short yesterday. And you can see here resistance at Amazon at 189.30. Several reactions there to validate that, and now we're pulling back. So I think we've got more downside in Amazon. It looks like there's a major uptrend line, and that's where I believe we're heading. All right, about 170-ish, depending on when we get there, of course. That's Amazon. Meta, talked about this looking like a bear flag on Meta. And the flagpole, it's about here. And that's the first flagpole. You take it at the extended area, the most extended area of the flag, which is what we trade at for a week. Gap down today and continue the impulsive selling with the continuation down to the 200-day moving average. Simple moving average. It's about 429-ish, right in there for this next move. So it looks like that's continuing, and we've got another 8% or so to that major target. So that is what I pointed out yesterday. Microsoft looks like it's at support or near support. All right, on Microsoft on the daily, you've got support, and we are right there now. So maybe a little bounce here, maybe it breaks. I mean, it's definitely sold off a decent amount, so I could see a bounce on Microsoft, and that could cause the market to kind of hold up and bounce a little. But I do think it's going to break some sooner rather than later. But it's at support as of right now. Apple. So Apple on the daily chart, you can see we've got support. We are breaking that right now. So we'll see how we close. It's, maybe the buyers step in and recover it. Maybe they don't. More selling from here would be a sell signal on Apple and just more pressure. It's likely going to usher in a pretty swift move down to some of these lower support targets on triple Qs. And just the mega cap, they all trade in the same way. Tesla, so this one again, I've been talking about this for a while. On the weekly chart, we had this downtrend line here, had it marked out. That was resistance. We popped it briefly on the weekly chart, but it was a false breakout, and I indicated that it looked like very likely to be a false breakout that we were going to, get sold into because of the negative divergence that was showing up. As we were breaking out, there was divergence, negative divergence, and that was the clue that we were likely going to get sold into. And then earnings obviously gap down 11%. So sell the rip on that one. That one's triggered a false breakout. It's very likely going to get sold into more. And Google continuing lower. So again, the widest part of the wedge, you take the widest part of the wedge, all right, this bearish rising wedge that I've talked about for days, many days, and the major target is about 162.75. So we're just as far as I can tell, continuing our way down there to that level. All right. Gold, the gold miners as of right now have triggered a false breakout. Okay, so if I look at gold, very similar to Tesla, although gold's not the same as Tesla. These are gold miners, but in general, look, you've got this downtrend line here on gold, on GDX. We rallied into that resistance on the weekly, popped it for 1 week, but it failed, and as of right now, back below there. So it's a false breakout as of right now. So that tells me more selling until it actually breaks out, and you see that breakout and it sticks. That's a false breakout, and it means we're heading lower. Trade setup, not actionable yet, but definitely a trade setup. Eli Lilly, you've got a clear, very impulsive uptrend. This thing is kind of in a bubble, basically. Support all through here, and we're at support again right there. So no sell signal, but you do have negative divergence that's been building for a while. Look at the PPO just dropping off. So that tells me that we're going to break soon. And, this is also a potential bear flag. All right, you got a flag pull. You've been flagging out over the last couple days. And then, a continuation sets us up for a move down to about 273, or sorry, 794-ish, right in there, for that continuation of that bear flag. And if that happens, you're also going to break this uptrend, which would be a more major sell signal. So I think that's likely going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen today. Looks like they're still trying to hold this support. So I don't know, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Likely to happen soon if it's going to happen. But as of right now, it's at support. When I look at the sectors, the various sectors that make up the market, the S&P 500, you can see today they're buying utilities, XLU's up. They're buying a little bit of healthcare, XLV, and energy's about flat. The rest of the sectors are down, so especially tech. So in general, it's risk off. This is a risk off day for sure. And again, just seeing the signs that we're breaking all kinds of supports on a lot of different individual stocks as well as indices, to me it looks like just the start. That's just the start of the selling. SMCI, tech stock, semiconductors, coming close to support. You can see we've got support about 697. Right in there. We have several reactions, and we're basically hitting that, roughly today. So maybe they step in and buy. Again, to me it looks like we're in a downtrend and it's going to continue. Sooner or later, this level is going to get taken out. I think it's probably now, but again, there is the potential for a bounce. If you take this level out, you got the 200-day simple moving average just below. Maybe they'll try to hold it, but that I think is short-lived because you have this thin zone where it just ramped up. And I believe if you start breaking these just supports that are just right here, then you're going to have a pretty swift move right down there to about 355.47. Good, that's our former reaction, big breakout candle right there. So that would be the target for this one, and I like it as a short, I think, and I am short this one. I think it will continue. Costco. So on Costco, this is the daily chart. We've got some support right through here, this trend line. They held it for the last couple of days. Today it's breaking. All right, so that's a sell signal on Costco. And again, it all depends on the daily close. We've got an hour and a half to go. So if they just ramp it up into the close, then there's no sell signal. So you have to manage that. But in general, as of right now, it's breaking support, and it is, triggering that sell signal for that push down. So next level of support on Costco, 787.90. And then we do have a more major trend line. I think I got to probably mark it up. I got to it looks like it moved on me. But there is a more major trend line down below. Especially, you can see one right down here as well. Down here. So again, I think Costco's likely topped, and we're going to start to trend lower. Obviously, depends on what the broad market does. But as of right now, I got to just triggered the sell signal today. All right, so daily close really basically we're at current levels or lower would confirm that. And the VIX, to wrap it up with the VIX, obviously you can't trade the VIX, but you can trade derivatives, the futures. But the VIX is highlighting volatility. So I've got this downtrend line on the VIX coming from March of 2020. and we've got kind of the spikes into this downtrend. But see what most of these spikes, they correlate with rally or with drops in the S&P 500 down to support. Here's the last one, April 24th. If I go to the SPY, you can see the last drop right here. Well, there's a couple, but there's April 24th. These are drops into that support zone on the SPY. They line up with that, and that's what's different this time. We were getting a spike in volatility now, but we're also breaking trendline support on the SPY, which indicates that volatility is likely going to spike here. All right, I think we'll see that spike. I'm not trading the VIX right now. I've got, I think there is a trade to be made, but I do have a decent amount of positions shorting various stocks. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. Get the video out. Drop me a thumbs up on your way out. Catch you on the next.